Well, joining me now is Timothy Head, Executive Director of the Faith and Freedom Coalition. Tim, thanks for being with us. First off, do your internal metrics show the same slip in the president's job approval rating among evangelicals? And if so, what accounts for it?
Well, it's an interesting phenomenon, and the question that you ask kind of depends on how you frame the question. So, coming out of the 2016 election, the exit polls had him at 77%, getting 77% of the evangelical vote. Our internal polling actually had him at 81% of the evangelical vote in 2016. So, ironically enough, Pew, the same organization that you just alluded to, 77% exit polling in 2016 now have him at getting 81% of self-identified evangelicals. So if you gauge over the last 4 years, he actually is up, although you're correct that in the last 2 to 3 months he's slightly down. So what we're seeing is that there definitely has been there was a huge surge for the first 3 years, and then when COVID and a lot of the controversy started to hit, there was a slight subsiding of that, but I fully anticipate to see that subsiding to reemerge as we get closer and closer to the election.
Tim, Joe Biden's campaign tells CBN's David Brody that it plans to make a play for younger evangelical and suburban evangelical women, hoping to take a couple percentage points off of Donald Trump's big evangelical base. Your response? Well, I mean, there's no doubt that's kind of the target demographic, if you will. So within the white evangelical population writ large, most Democrat strategists believe that the most susceptible, if you will, to Biden's sort of kinder, gentler, if you will, a message would be suburban, younger females. However, there also is, interestingly enough, the Trump campaign has been mindful of that for the entirety of his presidency, which is why they've done so much, particularly trying to combat human trafficking, for instance. Also, quite a bit of the very thoughtful, measured approaches to criminal justice reform. Those partly have been targeting that exact same demographic. And real quickly here, we only have about 30 seconds left. Are evangelicals still the president's strongest group of supporters?
Well, there is zero doubt about that. Not only strongest supporters for this president personally, but frankly remains the single most important demographic and electoral constituency in the entire electorate. So 26% of the 2016 election were evangelicals, and another 6.5% to 7% were Catholics, and so 37% of the entire electorate were conservative faith-based voters.
Tim Head, Executive Director of the Faith and Freedom Coalition. Tim, thanks for being with us.
Of course, thank you for having me.